Hey everybody. This is part two of forms of quadratics, and this should be a pretty short video. There's a couple things I wanted to show you. Now, if you go back and think about the previous video, we talked about vertex, and we had axis of symmetry, does it open up or down, and all that good stuff, right? And then before that, we were factoring to solve quadratic equations. And I said something about it having a related quadratic function. And we said, well, okay, since it's a related quadratic function to a quadratic equation, when it crosses the x-axis, the x-intercepts are solutions. And we kind of got into that some. Now, there's a couple things we want to think about. So let's get right to it here. Looking at this set of equations, it says, consider the following equations of quadratic functions. And we're given three of them, and they're in various forms. Now, standard form, we recognize A, B, and C, and all that good stuff. We have factored form. Something here has been factored. And it's obviously a quadratic, because we multiply it together, we get an x squared term, right? And then we have a vertex form. Not all that familiar for Math 1 students, really, but it never hurts to know a little bit more. So we've got this thing in what's called vertex form. And we'll get to that one last, okay? Now, here's the question we want. And again, if you're taking notes, and you should be, then this right here is something you want to write down. Pause the video and catch up your notes. I'm going to move on. Okay, so the idea here goes like this. Without performing any algebraic manipulations, write the coordinates of a key feature of their graphs. Again, we're thinking calculator inactive if it comes to that. We like to know things quick. You know, you guys have to take ACT tests and things like that. Time does matter in some cases. And if you're into stuff like, you know, having to be quick with tests, and some of us have to be, then the more you know and not have to resort to technology, the faster you are. Now, from standard form, I keep saying this over and over and over. What's obviously the first thing you always see? It's literally C. No pun intended there. So you see the value of C, which happens to be your y-intercept. So for standard form, you can see your y-intercept right away. Okay, so in this case right here, I don't have to work too hard to find a y-intercept, right? And I guess I'm going to have to learn how to spell that darn thing. And there's our y-intercept, which happens to be what? 0, 8. Didn't have to work hard for that. That could come in really handy. All right. And this is where I need you to start putting things together a little bit. If you're looking at this guy in factored form, if that's a 0 on that side, well, you know the zeros are just 2 and 4. So this thing has solutions to the related quadratic equation of 2 and 4, which happens to be x-intercepts. Oh, now I'm in bold. Oh boy, I ain't got time to worry about that. How about you? That does bother me some, though. Okay, so we're in factored form, and I guess I'll be consistent with the way things are working with our various programs we work in. It looks like we'd have solutions of 2 and 4 for an equation. But that's not what I wrote right here, was it? I wrote the x-intercept, so let's fix that. The x-intercepts would be, what, 2, 0, and 4, 0. And these are solutions to the related quadratic equation right here. Excuse me. So, now, let's take a look at this vertex form. A long ways back, I think it was in Module 6, actually. And it's still on the board in our classroom, I think, and we have it written up there, vertex form. And in vertex form, I'm going to copy this guy and paste it. You always can see the vertex. All right, and what you see in the vertex form is H. Now look what I just did. Look, at least we got undo on this thing. H. I tried to get inside there and get that 3 out of there, and it gave me some. Why is it doing that? Well, I guess we just have to get over it. And you have K. Okay? That's your vertex form right there. And if it's in that form, the vertex is right in your face. You don't have to work for it. And that's always a good thing. So, now the one trick is this has to change signs. For this to become a negative here, you had to have had a positive h, or you'd be looking at an x plus 3 squared. Now the value of k is straightforward, and if we were doing some transformations or something like that, we'd say this is shifted right 3 units and down 1 from the parent function. But let's go to our Desmos and see if it pans out. Does it have a y-intercept at 8? Oh, indeed it does. And does this one have x-intercepts at 2 and 4? Oh, it sure does. Does this one have a vertex where we said it would be? At 3, -1, it sure does. Now, another thing you'll notice, they're all the same function. Look at that. Just different ways it's written. You can see different information. Summarizing, and I'll turn these off on like I'm having a good time here. To summarize this, I guess you'd say this. Depending on the form, there's certain information that's readily seen or easily seen. If it's in standard form, your y-intercept's right in your face. If you don't see the value of c, which is 8 in this case, then your y-intercept is the origin. Okay? In factored form, the worst thing you can do with this thing is multiply it back together and find some intercepts. I've seen guys do that. I mean, not just you guys out there. I've seen guys and girls alike. We have the tendency to want to multiply things together, like we're doing something. Well, if you're looking for x-intercepts, you're working backwards. You're looking at them. Just change your signs, 2 and 4. Vertex, you know, that's sort of more of a math 2 thing, but it doesn't hurt us to know a little bit more. If we see one of these guys, we can easily spot the vertex. Changing the sign for this one, h, and then k is exactly what you see. Now you still know it opens up because the value of a lives right there, right? Anyway, hope this video, you find it helpful. And you know what? The next assignment that goes along with this is a little bit more involved. So take your time to do a good job with it. You should learn something from it. And that's all for me. And I hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe and stay healthy.